At this time, I would like to introduce our student speaker, Mr. David Eberius. Mr. Eberius is graduating cum laude with a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science. Along with a number of other eligible students, he wrote and presented a speech to the Commencement Committee. He was selected by the committee to present his speech today. It's my pleasure to welcome David to the podium.
Thank you, President Dudley Eschbach, distinguished guests, families, and graduates. Do any of you remember your first days here at Salisbury University? If you were anything like me, your anxiety level was higher than it had ever been, and all sorts of thoughts were popping in and out of your head like a psychological game of whack-a-mole. Will I be able to keep up with my classes? Will I fit in? Will I gain the freshman 15? Will I let my family down? Will I ever figure out what the heck a segmentation fault is? That was a tough time. Personally, I had a lot of trouble sleeping on my first night here. College was a great unknown at this point, and as H.P. Lovecraft put it, the oldest and strongest emotion of mankind is fear, and the oldest and strongest kind of fear is fear of the unknown. After going through orientation, a week or two of classes, and a few social events, college wasn't an unknown anymore. We had gotten to know and love college, and we were even starting to call it home. As time went by, we encountered a series of smaller unknowns. Our first project, our first finals week, our first lease, our first upper-level class, our first internship, our first search for a grown-up job. We overcame all of these experiences in the same way. We mustered our courage, and we made the unknowns, well, known. If I've learned anything about the students at Salisbury University, it's that they're friendly and willing to meet new people. I've always been amazed how people always hold doors open for each other, or jog over to those doors so they won't inconvenience the person holding it, or strike up a conversation with a random stranger on campus, or simply embrace other people for who they are. Why do Salisbury students act this way? What is it that has turned them into such awesome people? I think it's the environment that's created by the magnificent faculty and staff here at Salisbury University. When going to Commons, we're greeted with the welcoming smiles from the hosts. Some mornings, we're greeted with an enthusiastic, "Hey baby, good morning, how's my child?" A big hug and an "I love you" from Miss Barb. The housekeeping staff members are friendly, often smiling and cracking jokes. The school administrators take time to get to know the students and take interest in our endeavors. I couldn't tell you how many times I've run into Dr. Dane Faust, Vice President of Student Affairs, with his fun ties and bright smile. He always asks how I'm doing and listens intently to what I have to say. His genuine and cheerful nature always leaves me with a smile on my face. Most importantly, the faculty at Salisbury pour their hearts into their work. They stay past their typical office hours, even though they probably want to go home. They get to know our names, even if it's in an oversized lecture class. They console us when we cry tears of frustration in their offices. They write personalized recommendations for us. They genuinely care about us and want us to succeed. One professor that embodies all of these qualities is Dr. Don Spickler of the Mathematics and Computer Science Department. Dr. Spickler is famous for being a tough professor, but one that will make you learn the material inside and out. In all of his classes, Dr. Spickler assigns a large amount of homework every week. Sure, it takes a while to complete these assignments, but just imagining trying to grade all of these assignments makes me shudder. Dr. Spickler never turns a student away when they have a question, and is always willing to create independent study courses for special topics. In order to stay up to date with the latest technology, Dr. Spickler rewrote all of his code for his computer graphics class this semester, which took thousands of lines of code and countless hours. I'm thankful to Dr. Spickler for all that he does here. He's truly an exemplary professor. It's strange, isn't it? The first time you see a professor at Giant, the grocery store, you think, why are you here? And then you realize that your professors actually have lives outside of the university. I remember talking to Dr. Mike Bardzell during the Seagull Century bike race. I remember seeing Dr. Lucy Morrison out eating lunch with some friends. I remember getting advice on how to make a good soup stock from Dr. Nick Melcherick while I was a Giant. On all of these occasions, the professors were welcoming and kind to me, almost as if they were family. As a student in the Thomas E. Bellavance Honors Program, I've been able to spend time with professors in various locations across the country, from Washington, D.C., down to New Orleans, Louisiana, all the way over to La Crosse, Wisconsin. I've done a ropes course, taken hikes, knitted, and even more recently, I've thrown axes at the Maryland Renaissance Fair, all with professors from Salisbury University. I've even been invited to visit professors' houses, both for big events and for personal visits. These close relationships with our professors show how much they truly care about their students and respect us, both as intellectuals and as people. Through the constant efforts of our professors, we have been taught how to learn. Through the faculty, staff, and students at Salisbury have taught us how to live. Now, it's time for us to lead. As we look towards what happens after graduation, be it a job, more school, or anything else, we face yet another unknown in our lives. I urge you to stride up to this next unknown in your life and get to know it. Because like all of the unknowns we've faced thus far, it's really not as scary as it seems. Thank you.